I think we had a preseason game against Milwaukee, and I could tell just off, he looked like Bruce Lee. That was my first interaction with him. My first impressions of him is that he was very respectful and he was very timid. And then as I started working with him a little more, I noticed that he had a fire that he wanted to let out.
The five-time All-Star Marques Johnson.
Alongside Marques Johnson.
What's up, everybody? Hey, this is the Here District, captain of this vessel. And I got my first mate, my number one son,
Kris Johnson.
What up? Talk to me.
Let it rain, man. Let it rain.
I guess they go, guess what? We're going back into the Friday.
Okay, pass us all the breakfast.
Can't pass
Go fight. Welcome, everybody, to the Here District, Marques Johnson.
You're listening to a Bucks Plus audio production on the Bucks Plus Network.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks, straight from a Bucks legend. This is Here District with Marques Johnson, alongside his son and 1995 NCAA champion, Kris. Here's MJ.
All right, welcome everybody to Here District, and I'm laughing because just before this intro, man, we had some great observations by our next guest. First of all, Here District, Kris Johnson, Marques Johnson, only father and son tandem in the history of NCAA basketball to win a national championship at the same school, and I believe the highest father and son scoring point duo in NCAA tournament history. So that's our claim to fame. But we got a guy with his own accolades. KG, big ticket, Kevin Garnett, 15-time All-Star, MVP in 2004, NBA champion for our own Doc Rivers and the Boston Celtics back in 2008, Olympic gold medalist, a Hall of Famer, man. We are so privileged to have you join us here in Here District, KG.
Kevin Garnett.
Hey, man, what were you saying about I told you I had my paper shit, man, trying to make it look like I was busy.
Nah, man, you got to get all that out there, man. I'm going to send you some more. I got some Macallan for you. I'm going to put a little bottle of whiskey over there. I'm going to put some golf balls up there, a couple basketballs. You said you and son, just y'all got the tandem going, so you got to put all them awards and achievements up there. We don't want to see the paperwork to the house and the bills and all that, man. Get that off the desk, man.
The mortgage payment.
I want to see the bill. You got bill. Look, these are all the kids' bills right here. Over here, right here. Look.
Come on.
Hey, Keith, show us that. This is all y'all. These are all the kids right here. Look.
All kind of legal papers for the divorce.
Them all the kids right there. I know what that pile look like. I got a pile look just like that.
You know what time it is.
Man, I got to remind myself. No, constantly. No, but man, listen. You first came on my radar back in what was that, Kris?
93 Beach Ball Classic. 93, 94.
So here's the
Myrtle
deal.
Beach. Myrtle Beach, bro.
Myrtle Beach. You're going to high school in South Carolina, and so our greatest athlete out of LA at that time was a young man by the name of Toby Bailey. And I was there in Myrtle Beach to watch Crenshaw play. My son Kris was there. He was a senior. And word got around, man, that this young, spinely, athletic freak of nature
we had never seen in basketball.
Had blocked Toby's dunk. Had blocked Toby Bailey's dunk in a game in Myrtle Beach. I don't know if you remember that, but that was the first time I'd heard your name, man. And that's when I paid close attention to you ever since. I just wanted to let you know when you first came on my radar.
I remember that, man. I looked at it like we got these California teams coming down to the South. We the home team. No, I heard of Toby Bailey. I kept track of a lot of players. Ricky Price, J.R. Henderson.
Yes, sir.
These are some of the players that just stood out to me, had different levels of skill. Then when I had a chance to come out here, I got to play against the Terminators of Inglewood. I got to play with, obviously, Paul Pierce. I got the the Crenshaw boys. I'm going blank on this name. Tremaine folks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Super Crib. It was just a bunch of LA fanatics and just different athletes being different basketball players, different IQs, different styles of game.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of knowledge of who Toby was. But I went in there. I was so naive and bliss and just full of, seeing it how I saw it and playing the way I wanted to play. I wanted to really be impactful and, have everybody in there, remember me from my play. So
word.
I played like it was a big deal to play in the Beach Ball Classic.
Yeah, no, it was indeed. And you're doing something to keep the the hopes and dreams of young people alive, man. You're sponsoring this Hoop It Up 3-on-3 tournament. Big Ticket Sports, your company acquired it back in 2019. Can you tell us a little bit about that? It's coming to Milwaukee August 15th through the 17th. So talk a little bit about Hoop It Up and what that means to you and how that came about in terms of your connection with them.
Yeah, I actually acquired Hoop It Up from a fan's perspective, being able to follow it, seeing how the NBA had actually created this as a community outlet, being able to bridge the gap between players and community, being able to inspire and encourage people to be outside and play on the blacktops and be outside and be an athlete, just being active.
Yeah.
And I saw a product that didn't make the wave. I saw where the league didn't put as much interest into it as it was pushing other things. You got to also remember around the early 90s, you had early 92, and everybody and anybody was talking about the dream team.
Yeah.
And yeah, some of these other properties and assets just fell to the side. So, my partner and I thought it would be a good chance to be able to revive it, have something to where we can go into the community, have a voice, create a platform for those out in the community to be able to be heard. You know how many dunkers and real good 3-point shooters and just players overall that are in the neighborhoods that
Yep.
probably don't come outside or just everyday working men and women. You know what I'm saying? So it was more to keep the spirit of influence of young people and people that love playing outside, being outside. I was a real kid. I was outside on my bike all the time. So just trying to, if I'm saying refurbish that energy into today's youth and to today's generation. And yeah, because I'm a big advocate on activity. I'm a big advocate on being active. I'm a big advocate for kids being outside and understanding and learning. And I really feel like that's a source of how we all, was able to download and take in things around us. I see a distance from kids now wanting to go outside now, or being on video games, or being locked into more technical things that, are more popular these days. So yeah, it's just an energy. You came on here and you said something about I think your words were sponsor, whatever. I'm here to revive the spirit of young kids to go out and play. So, Milwaukee is a great basketball town.
Yeah.
You guys have a great basketball team with great players on it. And I hope that encourages all the basketball hoopers in Milwaukee to come out, show their talent. We got a dunk contest. We got some festivities. It's a good time. It's 3 great days of just interaction and stuff. So yeah, I hope the Bucks fans and all basketball fans come out and support.
Ticket. What about the 3-on-3 format? It makes it more attractive than say a 5-on-5 format?
So as we go into basketball into later years, I love this part of it because I think y'all know this from experience. The harder the more you take guys off the court, the harder the game gets individually for you. And when you go into any professional team, I don't know what collegiate is like. You guys can add on, but I know when you go into any professional team, before the coach puts a play in, defensively or offensively, you have to go through the play in the 3-on-3 strategy because the 3 is kind of the length, and then it's the hardest. Obviously, when you go to 1-on-1, that is the pinnacle of those 3: 5, 3, and 1. When you got 5 out there, you can probably relax more. You can probably rejuvenate. When you got 3, that all gets cut down. And obviously, when you 1-on-1, so I think the most difficult of all levels is obviously 1-on-1, but it's next in line with 3-on-3, and I think it's when you sit back and watch the potential just with not just men, but in women's, it's man, 3-on-3 is so fast paced.
Facts.
And if you got a quick trigger and you get it off, and if you not listen, man, listen, it is becoming with shooting being the way that it is. I can't believe now. We got Jerry West. We got the great Rick Barry. We got great shooters. I can sit here and just keep going through. I can just rip them off, right? I don't know if I've seen this type of shooting in the world. Have you seen the Serbian 3-on-3? Have you seen some of these countries 3-on-3? Have you seen the German? Like Holland, it is some really, really, really good 3-on-3 basketball, not just here in the States, but I think worldwide. And yeah, I'm just trying to capsulate it and have a format that I can actually have it, all be somewhere. So, you got to understand 3-on-3 is universal. It's in Serbia, it's in Japan, it's in China, it's Australia, it's everywhere. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to encapsulate what the NBA started from a great spirit
Yep.
and integrate it in today's
All
generation.
right, man. Talk about that spirit. I mean, that's one of the things I've always appreciated about you, just your spirit for the game. And so, for me, as an actor, like yourself, but a writer and all that good stuff, it's about the backstory. So, just kind of researching your backstory. Malden, am I pronouncing that correctly? Malden, South
Yes, sir.
Carolina.
Malden, South Carolina.
You
Yeah.
did not play organized basketball till high school. I imagine you played a lot of 3-on-3. That you spent a lot of time on the blacktop. You just don't fall out of bed being as good as you were without a whole lot of
Whole lot of,
work, a whole lot of work put
whole
into it.
lot of,
Yeah.
whole lot of,
So
whole lot of. And
how did that happen? No organized.
no organized, but and you can attest to this, but back in them days, you grew up in a neighborhood full of boys, full
Yeah.
of girls, and my neighborhood was no less than that. I had a bunch of boys in the neighborhood that we not only played basketball, but we played football, we slap boxed, we wrestled. It was trash talking. It was the block. You know what I'm saying? And then I moved into a nicer neighborhood, and that was the suburb called Malden. And these guys were a little more preppy, and they weren't so aggressive. They was more on basketball. They didn't want to get dirty. They wasn't really hood guys. They was more cleaner guys, which I could appreciate. But once we start playing, I started to grow a desire to be better than everybody that I was around, and learned the game and enjoyed going to the park and playing different characters there every day, having a different experience at the park every day, growing my skills, getting up in the morning, really growing my dribbling and my just sitting here. Derek Coleman used to be my favorite player, him and Kenny Anderson. It was
DC.
more,
Yes, sir.
and it was more because they was left-handers. And yeah, man, I don't know, for some reason I gravitated to them too. So everything I did was like Derek Coleman or Kenny Anderson.
Why the left-handers? Why the left-handers? Were you
I
left-handed?
don't know.
Were you?
I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't. But the way Kenny A moved when I started watching him in high school, when I got like a little couple bits of film of however I got it, or where I saw that on Scholastic Sports or ESPN, whatever I saw it, I remember taping it and then just watching it, and Derek Coleman and Kenny Anderson, along with a host of other players I can sit here and time out, because when I seen Magic kind of resonated me to this is what I want to be, right? I want to be different, I want to be tall, but I want to be skillful. So all that is where all that was curated from. Springfield Park is my park. Shout out to Malden World and everybody in it. So that's where all my first loves got curated at, and my desires and all that. And I always have to put a flag in the ground for Malden for that, because those are my foundations.
Yeah, I was curious, Ticket, about just that moment as a hooper when you realize that I'm not going to college. I'm good enough to be, a top 3 pick or top 5 pick in the NBA draft. When was that moment, and how old were you, and when did it sort of click in?
I was actually had moved from South Carolina to Chicago, and it was traumatizing to me, the difference in and just to change. I'm not a person of change, but I've learned to adapt to change. And that was probably the biggest change for me as far as adolescent. I can remember when I got to Chicago, or how much of a responsibility for the first time in life I felt, not just to me, but to my little sister and our well-being up there. So when the day I touched Chicago, my whole mentality changed. I wasn't the same kid that I was in South Carolina. So when I would go into these rough neighborhoods or these dismal places to play, which was very intimidating. They're not like the most friendliest, they're not the cleanest, but some of the best basketball comes in those dismal places. I played in alleys, I played in warehouses, I played in lumber yards, I played in the backyard, I played in an abandoned building, I played in where only you got to know somebody to be in here. You got to be in this game to be in here. And I played against I played in every place that you can play, and they not gave me respect to come in there and play. And I've been fortunate to take my friends in there and play. And so coming out of that, man, playing so many different guys in Chicago, you're going to run into some pros. And I think my first interaction with a pro was Band-Aid Man, Derek Chivas, that went to Missouri.
Oh, for sure.
I was playing with, it's my first interaction with somebody that had that level of scoring. And I had never been around that. And he was my first kind of introduction to next level play. and it was Derek Chivas, and then I got to play the great Rashad Griffin, and then I played Big Tommy Hamilton,
Yeah.
and then I just started playing a bunch of different Chicago, what I consider, legends, the Twan Walkers, the Nick, the Nick Irvins and the Irvin families,
Yes,
and
sir.
yeah. So I got to a point where I was having a bad day, and my friend recommended us to go downtown and play with Jordan and Oprah's husband and all the Stedman and all them play. That's kind of a bougie play, but we went down there just to, see if we could get in, but end up, they weren't letting nobody in. So we ended up just watching, and Mike let me in. He let me play. And I probably got like a good game of to 7. I thought we went to 11
Mm-hmm.
doing twos.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to guard Scotty for a whole game.
Wow.
And that interaction right there gave me some confidence to say, not that I was ready, but it was like, man, I got confidence that I can be out here with this.
Yeah.
This ain't, you know how it is. When you on the outside looking in, it looks crazy.
Yeah.
Once you get in there and you get you get your first elbow or mom, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Somebody wake you up with something, that's all you need. And if you about it, and I've been in some rough areas to play, so I didn't see this being like a rough area. I didn't look at this like it was like the darkest place I've ever been, right?
Right.
No, not locked in. And I actually looked at it like, oh no, this is just basketball, right? Oh no, if it's just basketball, I can win this,
Yeah.
And then I talked to Isaiah Thomas, which is probably the pivotal point for me.
Mm.
And with Isaiah Thomas conversation, man, I had enough confidence that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bet on myself here. And it wasn't about a top pick; it was just about getting picked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, man, and I want to go back to Malden before you went to Chicago, and I didn't know this until I was doing some prep research for this interview. You had to go through some adversity. You had some legal stuff going on down there that was expunged and all that stuff. But my question, KG, is was there a point where your basketball life flashed before your eyes that you thought there was a chance that this game that you love could be taken away at that moment that things were at their worst? Could you just walk us through, if you don't mind, just what that felt like? If you don't want to get specific, that's fine. But just in terms of where that put you mentally and how that impacted you as a 17, 18-year-old young man.
It kind of woke me up, man, because at that point, you go from a known 7th, 8th grader to a known 9th grader. 10th grade, you get even more known. 11th grade, everybody knows you. You can't go nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But you're still living in a real human being life and having real life, everyday, normal life things. You're just a little more recognizable. So, when real things happen in life, you're no exception to that. But what would it actually help me actually see for myself was people that actually was for me.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of people right there. And there was family and everybody that was in that. It was kind of disheartening. But I've learned that when you get, I saw an illustration of a mom dropping a kid off in the woods, and she sees the wolf, and she walks in the opposite direction and leave him there. And within the week, the kid comes back to the village wearing the wolf on his back as a protection to the snow and to the elements that she left him in. And when I saw that, that resonated with me. Really did resonate with me to the point where you don't know who you are until you are subjected to be something and have to stand up and have to have a certain presence about a situation that is dark and dismal. And what I've learned is that when you have a dream, not everybody's going to see your dream. Not everybody's going to understand how you thinking. You're going to come off weird. You're going to come off different.
Sure.
But I started to embrace that different. Going through that dark stuff, I was like, you know what? When I come out of this, because my mom taught me that things go in cycles. You look at banking systems, women, oceans, waves, all of it is cycles. And she said, in the cycles, you're going to have some good times and you're going to have some bad times. She said, man, the best times to see who with you is when you on the down there on the cycle. And I can't, say how she spoke that into existence, but it hit hard when it hit. So I believed in that. And yeah, I had a teacher that believed in me. She continued to bring me schoolwork and stuff. And I continued to keep some of my responsibilities academically up so that when I got, out of the situation academically, I could still be on the same. Miss Willoughby for that.
Mm.
And when I got out of this, I wanted a clean slate. I didn't want to be in South Carolina. I thought I had outgrew it. I thought everybody that I was around wasn't thinking on the same plateau that I was. Everybody was very generic and really following what people had done before them, go to college 4 years, come back home, get a job, marry your high school sweetheart. Like I didn't see none of that shit.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do none of that.
Yeah.
That was none of, you know what I'm saying? And then it make me even, I'm growing up, I had a job since I was 13. So I had, responsibilities. I worked. I wasn't afraid of work. So when I went to go visit these colleges and these kids had to go ask the assistant coach to go do something, to open the door or go hoop or we can't just go do nothing by ourselves. We got to go ask somebody, man. I was like, nah, man.
Hell
Man,
no.
what the, I not took a night job. I work with grown men on the assembly line.
Yes,
I got
sir.
a real graveyard shift. I work 12 to 12, bro. I
Yes,
work
sir.
with your dad and your uncle up here. So I was seeing life so different, man. I was growing up fast. And yeah, my mom dropped us off in the airport. Told me figure it out.
Yeah.
And went back in the airport.
Wow.
And yeah, I figured it out. But yeah, I say that to say that it grew thicker skin. And yeah, to everybody that's out there that's looking like you got a dead end, if you continue to go, man, it's in cycles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all you need sometimes is just a little dim light to get you to where you're going. But yeah, I like to think that helped me for the league
Yeah.
because the league is tough and it ain't nothing like getting your ass kicked or getting your ass busted. And you got to come back in that locker room and sit in that seat and wonder how, this happened and you feel embarrassed. And yeah, so I can say that it can be times where I was sitting in that locker room that reminded me of some of those dark times to where I was able to have strength to pull myself up out of it because I recognized it early. I had been here before and I got through it, and this is how I got through it type
Well,
stuff.
and that relates to Kris and I. I mean, we both walked through adversity, and my mother used to say, "KG, it can make you bitter or better. It can make you bitter or better. You
No
can
doubt.
you can walk around and stay in that dark place, be angry, be resentful, be non-productive, or
You can do something.
you can do something, emerge out of that dark space, and use it to your benefit in terms of learning a life lesson." So, man, that's some good stuff. Go ahead, Kris.
And the other thing my grandmother used to say is that it's always darkest before dawn. And I just want to tell you, KG, because I came up in that era. I'm class of '94. Hooped. I was at Crenshaw. I was all into it. I'm Street Smiths. I'm seeing you. I'm seeing AI. The thing is, you and AI, like y'all was serious inspirations for all of us on a national level because of the drama that got publicized, because it was during an era where coming on the heels of Rodney King and OJ, the early 90s, they was trying to crucify guys. People don't remember the Allen Iverson stuff. And that Atlantic Coast, KG, the South/Atlantic Coast moves a lot different than the rest of the country. So I just want to tell you, brother, I just want to tell you, back then, it was like y'all carried this weight for us coming up in that generation as like probably the two most iconic guys because of the trials and tribulations that y'all went through and how y'all came out on the other side, bro. I just want to tell you that.
Respect, man.
No doubt.
Ain't nothing like when you go through something and you can speak on it because you survived it. You know what I'm saying? I like to think that
Yes, sir.
we went through that so that other people can actually wake up and, think about your choice. Think about, you know how I go, bro. You built to have your man's back. You built to have your homeboys back at all times, like he got you. So when you get in put in situations where your man and y'all threatening, any man put his hands on you, you gotta, defend yourself.
Yeah.
Natural reaction.
So,
it's a natural reaction, bro.
And it's the South, so a lot of where I went to school, it was a bunch of football players, it was a bunch of baseball players, a bunch of soccer players that was just egotistical, and they was the families had money and they felt a certain way and they said it with their chest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I come from when white boys can actually fight, and and that's all they love to do, and they from the other side of the tracks.
Yeah.
And you got to speak a certain language, so it was all good. It was all part of growing up, man. You learn to, when you mess up something, man. My mom said you're gonna mess it up before you get it right. But it also taught me how to actually communicate with the other side and other people and other races and other nationalities, and to be patient with people and not to adopt on other people's ignorance, and actually be better and take the higher road and teach them a lesson and be able to be, you know what we don't talk about a lot. Everybody talks about fighting and being quick to, slap somebody and be rude and be disrespectful, man. You never hear about composure. You know how hard it is to keep your goddamn composure?
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? God just cracked you and you gotta, I get it. Your ego and all this. But bro, composure is one of the hardest things that you can ever have. People say it's patient. I actually think it's composure.
Yeah.
Takes a real man to be able to get slapped and then be able to take the slap and explain what just happened, and then you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta that's another level. That's another level of everything. So yeah.
Well, listen, man, let's go from that to like hopefully one of the highlights of your career, playing for Doc Rivers, winning that championship in Boston. And
No doubt.
I reached out to Doc, man, and Doc said this about you. He said KG's the best, man. What made him special was he was a superstar that gave himself completely to the team. He would literally sacrifice anything for the team to win. His leadership and will to win and compete is unmatched, the best. What also made him special was his basketball IQ, and he was a straight baller, MJ. He could literally do anything, offensively or defensively, man. That's Doc Rivers. Let me hear you give Doc some of his flowers. That's your flowers from Doc. Give Doc a couple of flowers here.
Yeah, first off, man, I want to say probably one of the, if not the best inspirational coaches I've ever been around. And what I love is that he is from it, and he hasn't forgotten where he's from. If anybody know Maywood and what the West Side and parts of that is like, his dad was a cop. He was true to who he was. He never bent, or, you know. Man, Doc is probably one of the more intelligent people I've ever met. Always coming up with quotes, always having things in the chamber that he hits you with. He's definitely a chess player. He was one of the stimulants, one true stimulants in our league that I actually value. When we actually talk basketball, he was able to be on another elite of X's and O's. But Doc also, man, he is a special type of coach. If you don't have any type of real passion and real understanding, and if you want to talk Jedi with him, then you have to actually be a doer. You can't just sit in his office and talk about what you want to do. At some point, he's going to put, pen to pad and expect you to actually perform and actually see some of these things that you aspire. And I like to think that he pushed me every day. He pushed me every day. Every day that I thought I was better than yesterday, he would, push me. And every day, he would go through this line of 2 weeks me, 2 weeks Ray, 2 weeks Paul, 2 weeks Rondo, 2 weeks Baby, 3 weeks TA, 3 weeks Tony, Kendrick Perkins. Like, he would just have these things, but he was sharpening us, man. He was sharpening us. A lot of us don't have fathers, or a lot of us didn't have, fathers or father figures in our lives, man. I like to think that not only was he my coach, but he was my big brother. But he served as a father figure to be able to sharpen and help me with things that I lack, not just in basketball, but in life. Help me try to be a better husband, better father to my kids. When I say a mentor, nothing better to say that not just a friend, but family.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I watch him struggle in today's NBA, I really truly think it's just because of the players. He's not every player can't play for him. Every player doesn't fit his style. Doc really is a gruddy guy who wants to really defend you for 48 minutes and grind you into the ground. And if we can score the ball, cool. But he's a real no nonsense, nose on the ball kind of guy, and I love that kind of coach. I played with the same passionate energy that he saw the game. We saw the game very alike and very parallel. And everything he does, I always support. Not always agree with some of the things, and that's just human. But man, he's family, man. And anytime he needs my support, I'm always there. No questions asked.
You won your lone defensive player of the year under Doc. If that's right.
Mhm.
That's correct. Now,
Yeah.
did this personality, did you take on, well, it was Tibbs was there too. Thibs was there too, right? So it was like Doc and
Mhm.
Thibs was there. Did you take on Doc's personality defensively? Up until that point, you were a very good defender, but you hadn't won a defensive player of the year. You were one of the greatest sort of like middle linebackers. You used to remind me of like Mike Singletary out there on defense with those Celtics. Just the way you directed traffic, talked literally 48. If you played 48 minutes, KG, mouth was running on both sides of the basketball for 48, bro. There was never a moment of that. Was that Doc's personality? Or was that a combination of your own personality and sort of how you adjusted to the coaching staff?
So I like to explain. Kevin in 21 in Minnesota had to score the ball and defend. So inadvertently, I would train to be able to do both. But in the realm of when I had to choose one, obviously, if I had to save a little energy to be able to get a stop, then I learned how to do that. But then I learned also how to conserve energy to be able to be for the fourth and score the ball. So, yeah, when I got to Boston, my mentality was not so much of scoring the ball, but to be the leader of defending and be the charge of this side of the ball. I really thought that we had so much scoring, not just with the three of us, but with Eddie House, Pose, Big Baby could score the ball. Like, we had different pieces that weren't even talked about that went into scoring. So I just made it my mission. I'm 5 now, and I'm on some defensive A, B, and C. This is what I'm on. I'm going to be the leader You know what I'm saying? And then when the team needs me to be a post presence and score the ball, I can actually do that. But my first priority is this.
Yep.
And I actually led that with my meeting with when I first talked to Doc. I said, listen, and I did a bunch of things offensively. I'm probably going to end up 25,000, 27. I care less about that. I'm here to get 2 to 3 rings while I'm here, and I want to be the defensive charge. I got another level of defense that I don't think you've seen. He was looking at me like, what you talking about? I said, man, I'm finna show you. And he didn't know about me jumping on the ball, doubling the guard after the ball go out. He didn't know about me zigzagging and playing like what's the little kid up in what's the kid name up in New Orleans that be they call him Grand Theft Auto. What's his name?
Alvarado.
I had a little Alvarado in me where I would double the ball. I would just be everywhere.
Yes,
I'm in
sir.
the backcourt. I'm guarding my man. You don't know what I'm doing. Rondo had never experienced anything like that. So I was talking to Doc from a bigger concept of what I thought it could be if a guard was of his caliber, and he proceeded to tell me Rondo's genetics and where he thought the two of us could be. But yeah, he wasn't looking at it like that. So when we started doing it, he was like, "Oh my God, we're finna kill the East. Nobody's doing this." We had like a collegiate amoeba kind of let's jump on you and strangle you, and by third quarter you don't want to play kind of concept, So him and Tibbs were real diabolical. You know what? Doc he led that. He was as dark in that. Yeah, we should beat this team by 30 and 40. Like, he put that in us. So that when we was up 40 and man, we beat New York on TV by like 50. It took Nate to I think Nate hit a half court shot to make it 50 even. I mean, we was blowing New York out, man. We was talking about, man, where we going for dinner at third quarter, Keith? Like, man, call now, man. So we young. I'm like, man, we was, but the work we put in was giving us unbelievable results, man.
And talking about mentors, you've become a mentor around the league, and I crossed paths with you in 2017. I believe you were working with Thon Maker, Giannis, and Kris Middleton. Now, we both kind of, I think, missed on Thon Maker. I thought he'd be better. I'll say I missed on him. I thought he'd be much better than what he turned out to be. But just talk about, I want to focus on Giannis. From 2017 to now, what do you remember about him back then, and what have you seen in terms of the evolution of his game since then?
Well, I had played against Giannis a couple times, and I think the first couple times I played him, I didn't even remember. It wasn't nothing that made me kind of stick out to remember the kid or nothing. I don't even recall it. I don't, to the point where it wasn't an impression. It wasn't until the third time, or I think I was a little older. I think I was in Minnesota. I think we had a preseason game against Milwaukee, and I could tell just how he looked like Bruce Lee. He looked super ripped. He looked different. He wasn't like his posture was straight up. He looked super, you know what I'm saying? So when I saw that, we had like that was my first interaction with him in this preseason game. And then obviously the next year I retire, and then I get a call from Jay Kidd to ask me if I can actually come in and work with him, because Giannis had requested to come in. He wanted to actually, So then my first impressions of him is that he was very respectful and he was very timid, And when I would talk to him, and when I would say certain things to him, he would look me in the face. He would look down. He would, he'd be listening. Kind of somebody do this when they're listening or whatever. And then I start making him look at me. Hey, 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 hey. Obviously I'm putting something on him. Hey, look at me. Hey, when you go in here, and then I'm giving it to him, and then he'll just nod his head and look. And then as I started working with him a little more, I noticed that he had a fire that he wanted to let out. And it was just when James Harden and the Euro was coming in, and I actually thought that he was able to use the Euro better than anybody, especially in transition. And he wanted something more of half court. He wanted more knowledge of traps and options to the bag, one-on-one options, back to the basket, facing moves that was in the paint, footwork. So I showed him. I didn't have time to show him all of it, but I showed him things that I thought that could absolutely help him day one, and that he can do day one that would impact a lot. He later on goes and worked out with Cove and some other people, but Yeah, early Giannis was
Yeah.
timid until he actually dialed into the knowledge, and then he applied the knowledge, which is the difference in a lot of things. You know, people get knowledge, but they don't always apply it. And I can say that he applied it and then made a whole foundation of his game and who you know him to be today. So, you know, big up to Giannis, man.
Quick story on Giannis, and Kris, you could jump in, but quick story. So back in those days, KG, playing for Jason Kidd, he would write everything down in a composition notebook. He was constantly scribbling notes all the time, the composition notebook. And of course, me, you know, my curiosity, what is he writing? So one day during practice, he left the notebook out. So I kind of slide over to the notebook, you know, turn it over just to the middle of it just so that I can read it, and it's all in Greek, so I can't read it anyway. But I have no idea what he's writing. But it's just a notebook full of just notes to himself, and that gives you an idea, as you're talking about, just applying the knowledge, just how serious he was about who he wanted to be as a basketball player.
Yeah.
And I tell you, the reason he didn't look you in the eye is kind of like the feelings I used to get around Dr. J as a young player. I mean, it's just such a high degree of respect for who you guys are, what you accomplished, how you played, how we wanted to kind of be like you in a certain kind of a way. So I think it was more about that, man. But that's a great story about Giannis and his response to you when you came out to Milwaukee to work with. But I really think it helped him too.
But staying on
It did, man. He picked up the energy, man. He picked up the energy, and I unlocked the fire. I think Cole unlocked the fire.
Yeah.
And then you see when he goes baseline and give you the one step back and he fades, I feel so proud. I really wish he would face up. I tell him all the time when I seen him in Vegas, I said, man, why don't you use the joint when you come middle? Come middle and dunk his. He like, go middle? I said, I'll go baseline and come back and dunk him. He said, I want to dunk him left though. I said, okay, then go middle, spin back. So we was, you know, so I feel proud, man. I feel like a father. You know what I'm saying?
That's all good.
When I watch him sometimes, man, I'm proud. I'm happy that he's had
we appreciate you,
to have
brother.
a great
We
career.
appreciate you.
No
But standing
doubt.
on his shoulders. You're one of the shoulders he's standing on. Go ahead, Kris.
Last thing, and we'll cap it on Giannis. We talked about sacrifice earlier, Ticket. Do you think that Giannis should make similar sacrifices to have more energy on the defensive end if the Bucks want to be a legitimate championship title contender?
So unfortunately, I've been in this situation. And Chris, to answer your question honestly, and this is just my view. So if Giannis takes a little more defensive stance and has better defensive numbers, and the Bucks don't win, and he doesn't average the points that you're expecting to average, right? Because he's putting a little more in on the defensive end, right?
Yeah.
It takes more than one person to play defense, by the way.
Facts.
It helps to have a great defensive player on your team, but if the other 3-4 guys, you got 3 guys that can't play defense, the 2 of y'all you hear what I'm saying to you? So,
yes, I do.
So you have to play as a unit, and that's why it's a team sport. So I can see him conserving himself to be more effective on the offensive end because you still got to put the ball in the basket. You still got to get to the foul line. Somebody has to take it to the basket. Who's the best one-on-one player you got? I'm the best player, right? You post me up. I get it off the glass. In transition, I try to play mate. So I think he's trying to do everything within his scope of knowing what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just think that he's in a hard situation where in today's generation, you look at these teams and there's 3 or 4 superstars on the team, or you got 2 superstars with a guy that's developing at a high rate that you look up and you're like, wow, look at Houston. Houston obviously has Shanguini. I love the green kid, but now you got KD. No one was talking about that men. No one was talking about the Thompson twins. Look how fast they're developing. So I'm just watching how quick and how things can change with a trade or acquiring a certain guy, how everything can change. And I just think there's an uphill battle in the East when you have teams like Cleveland that has a super duper roster. I think it's going to be very, very good. I'm watching Orlando get better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're gonna need more than just Giannis.
Yeah.
You're gonna need some pieces that's consistent with what the league is doing. And yeah, I think you need to put some help around him.
And so now let's talk about some of that help around Giannis. Bobby Portis has publicly stated that you're his favorite player, man. You reached out to him, but he was going through some things, man. And just talk about that interaction you've had with Bobby Portis and what's going on between you two.
Well, I can remember playing Bobby Portis for the first time in a preseason game, and Randy Brown, who is like a big bro to me. He watched me kind of. Randy Brown is probably one of the closest street basketball guys I can ever think of to be. Him and Ken Norton, if you know Ken Norton, if you know Snake.
Snake Norton, baby.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Those are real, those are damn near street guys to me, but they're great guys, man.
Yep.
What was I saying? I was saying, yeah, Bobby Portis. So Randy Brown had told me, say, look, man, young fella eager to play against you now. He from Arkansas now. He's strong now. He's strong as a ox. I'm telling you now, he'll knock the shit out you too now. He'll do what? He's like, listen, this young boy over here, hey, listen, we gonna put him in. You gonna get some? And I was awesome. Like, what you been up to, Randy? You cool? And he just bust out with, yeah, we got young fella over here. He gonna put some on, yeah, now, yeah, he'll knock the shit out. And I was like, okay, so I'm already on 10, and we get in the game, and yeah, I just, he was young. He supposed to be young and strong and all this. So yeah, I shot some little slick stuff at him, told him watch his head or something on a rebound or something, and kind of laughed at it. And then, yeah, I didn't know none of this. So then I had a chance. Obviously, I'm out the league. I seen him last year. He was obviously with the Bucks, and he came up to us and said, man, you're my favorite player, man. And I was not expecting that. And yeah, it's a camera on us. We talking. I'm mic'd up. It was a surreal moment.
Yeah.
And, since I've been retired, I've been in this situation where I'm trying to be patient and, kind of very humble to take in compliments and be yeah, just be in a better light of some of these younger players, man. But yeah, it was dope to hear. We immediately start going through basketball and talking skills and all this, and I love that what he's turned into, right? Because when he went through his little moment, I was just telling him to keep his head, continue to work. You know how I go. It's up and down. It's like the Nasdaq. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to keep your jab going. So just some words of encouragement, and I mess with Bobby, man. Bobby's from the old country, man. I like his mentality. He's totally respectful and all that he does, but he's also a force, and I love what he brings to the Bucks organization, and I love what he does for the fans too, man. Bobby's a dope. Yeah, he just a dope perspective, man. He's still dope all around,
He's
man. Shout out to Bobby
our
Portis.
team hype man during the course of a game.
I can only imagine,
Yes,
right?
yep. Then also Myles Turner. Myles Turner, I think you had some interaction with him. We picked up Myles Turner. First of all, how do you like the fit, Myles and Giannis? Where do you think that's going to lead to? And any kind of background stuff on him and your interactions with him as an up and coming player in this league?
Me and Miles have a common friend in OT, and OT is a dear friend of me that grew up with me in Malden. And I think he helps Miles with some of his business. And we got to meet him at one time. So I was just hollering at him, talking about the game and what's expected. And, you have a responsibility to not only your craft, but to your family and to yourself as there's opportunity. So just hollering at him on some OGs,
Yeah.
I don't bring too many people into my home, so he got to come to my home in Minnesota. And yeah, he was a cool guy, man. I think he's going to be big for the Bucks just because he's a defensive presence. And yeah, he is who he is.
Yeah.
I like Miles. I think he's good for y'all team. I just think you got to put some other pieces around him. I think he needs more than just Miles. And yeah, I see him being better though. I like Miles for y'all, but I want to see y'all add on to that team. Real talk.
Yeah.
I cannot leave you without talking about the acting craft. It's something that we share, and I thought you did a tremendous job. I tell you what, I watched Uncut Gems again last night. I saw it when it first came out, and I liked it, but watched it again, and it just blew me away. The messages between Adam Sandler's character and this whole theme of the movie in terms of purity of intention. But this one scene, man, that you do with him, KG, after you buy the Opal for 165, and then you're trying to ask him how much it really costs, but you're sitting down with him and you're saying, man, why you keep messing with me? Why you keep messing with me? You've been messing with me the whole time. I know you're big into preparation, but did you work with an acting coach on that? How much preparation for you went into that in that particular moment? That was your moment in that movie, and I thought you knocked it out of the park. What was the preparation like for you for that scene with Adam Sandler?
So first off, man, it was I thought you killed your part. You know, like that part to me is legendary in film. You know how we talk about the gun line ball? You know, tell about the gun line balls. You know how you hit one-liners?
Yeah.
You know what? I got something for all you. You know what I'm saying? So it's classic lines in our culture that will go in our grave with us. So I want to say, I want to give you your flowers for that, bro,
Appreciate
because
you.
everybody know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's just like say, I'm like the IRS. I'm like the IRS.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's classic lines in culture. If you
Yep.
know what you know,
Yeah.
it's one of those. So I just want to say that to you, bro. You were, man, I was raised off you, bro. Real talk. So
Appreciate that.
to hear you give me that is everything. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Can you mess up being yourself? Like, can you mess up being Keith? Can you mess up being you
Well,
on camera?
I would answer that in a different way than you might expect. But I think yes, if you aren't in the moment, if you're tripping about being on camera and all these people in the room and all the lights and this and that, but to be able to lock in to a fictional character, Howard Ratner, Adam Sandler, and to display the amount of emotion. I mean, you were doing something inwardly. You know, we talk about
So,
inhabiting a character, not just being a
mm,
character, but inhabiting a character. And even though it was KG, but that's kind
see,
of misleading because you had to play, a character that's going through some things. Maybe you're not superstitious. Maybe you don't believe in the power of an opal that's going to help you play better. That could be the farthest thing from your truth, but you had to make it your truth in that movie, in that moment. And that's where you embraced that role, man, and did such a tremendous job with that. So to answer your question, yeah, you could totally F it up, man. You could totally F it up even if you're just playing yourself.
I understand now. I hear what you're saying. So in that perspective, everything that he was talking about when it came to me, I couldn't mess up. So when I went to the jewelry store, I've been in the jewelry store, had
Yeah.
100 guys in there. We in here, going, and I'm in here trying to get something more. And the guys, I got 100, and then the bill come out. So I've been in here. I've been in these situations.
Right.
We've been in the club. You know what I'm saying? You know, all this that we was doing. I felt like I was here. Yeah, I'm superstitious about stuff. I got the rubber band on. I popped the rubber band. And so a lot of the stuff that was going on, at least for me,
Yeah.
was parallel to be able to meet the energy. When he came in here, he showed me the open. And I was like, man, why would you show me something?
Yeah.
Knowing that I couldn't, like, so that was real. You know what I'm saying? And then he was like, yo, KG, Ben Wallace for TA. And I was like, don't stop it, man, TA. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
Stop.
he was witty.
Yeah.
But he was being witty within the whole thing. So
Right.
what was bugging me out is that, I'm structured. So we're going off script. Da, 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 da. And then he'll just go off and just go into something totally different. And we'll be all improvising. And it'll be like a big freestyle and and then he'll go off in this kind. Bro, you think we prepare in the NBA?
Yeah.
Bro, this is the reason why you don't see me in film. I have so much respect for Hollywood and the film industry, bro, that the work and the time they put in, bro, is exhausting. Yeah, I was there for like a month and I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Like the time that you on set, the time you practice, the time you rehearse so much that it comes off like second nature.
Right.
So when you see me and Adam going back and forth, we started with my book being like this. We rehearsed, and then he started doing that freelance and just freestyling. Next thing I know, my pages got like this.
Yeah.
Yo, he freestyled so much that they went back, bro. I had like a whole, and I was like, whoa, I'm not an actor. I can't remember all this. And they was like, nah, how would you say this in the conversation? So I was like, okay, if you let me do that, then okay, let's do it. So I said, let me see if I can do it like so. Then when you hear me say, oh, okay, so you was gonna give it to me for 1.5 minutes. Look, man, how are you a piece of and I was just really talking to, because I met pieces of so I was just really in like, man, you ain't, you know what? Somebody gonna knock you out. So I was in that.
You in the moment.
Being Kevin.
You're in the moment, yeah.
I didn't think that I couldn't I couldn't mess up Kevin.
Yeah.
If there's one person I can't mess up, that's me. So in the interim of doing and delivering and timing, when I did enough interviews to where wait on the question, the time and the talk, the beat, and then it's real parallels in that. So yeah, man. And shout out to Southeast too, man. They were super patient with me. They was able to let me be myself in a lot of things so that I can curate that energy and bring off. But man, that was magical, man.
Yeah, man.
And that's how I want to end my Hollywood career. I want that.
That's it.
I want that acting
top,
like that to
on
stay
top,
like that.
baby.
I don't think I can top that. I'm good. I went out being myself. I'm in the industry too, man. I'm huge in content. I'm huge in obviously podcasts and all this platform building and monetizing. So yeah, you'll see a couple projects come out. I got the Summer League Film Festival with Albert and Warren out there in the summer in
Right.
July. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
shout out to Content Kings.
Yeah,
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 we
yeah.
working.
Well,
We working,
a
baby.
good buddy of mine who I played with in Milwaukee, Lloyd Walton, had a documentary, The Education of Lloyd Walton, that actually
Yeah,
premiered at the Summer League Film Festival.
absolutely.
He talked about how you were just when he was doing his career development stuff as a player association rep, that you were one of the veterans that made the young guys sit in the front, made them pay attention, made them
Absolutely.
listen. So man, we just we want to thank you, man, for all that you did as a player, but even more importantly, Kevin, everything you're giving back.
Yes.
In your post-playing career, and I think that's even
Yeah,
more
man.
important because we want each generation to be better than the last. Each generation of players or people or whatever it is to evolve into something better than what was before. And you are doing your job in terms of making that happen, facilitating that, man. And we thank you for coming by here, District Man, and continued success to you, success to the 3-on-3 in Milwaukee, August 15th through the 17th. And this has been a real honor for Kris and I, man. You have always been one of our favorites, man. And thank you for spending some time with us.
Appreciate
Man,
it.
y'all my favorites, man. Chris, you know what it is.
Yes,
Dad,
sir.
you know what it is, man. It's always a pleasure. Whenever I see Chris, I always ask about you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just in the time that we are, you know how I go.
Yeah,
And yeah, man, thank y'all for having me on here,
Do you
man.
remember?
Real
Do you
talk,
remember
man.
Chris from the?
So we were in training
T-Wolves
camp.
training camp, man.
So Ticket, when the lockout ended, I could just finish at UCLA, and then I came to camp with y'all. It was you,
Yeah.
Steph, but then it was Sam Mitchell, it was AP, Anthony Peeler,
Yeah.
Steven.
Oh, yeah, he was there.
but Steven Jackson, that was my roommate.
Yeah,
you remember Jack was there? So,
Steven Jackson.
Man,
Remember
me
that?
and
Troy
Jack-
Hudson was there.
Troy Hudson, me-
That's before they had the little
twist.
cornrows in their
Bruh.
head. They still had a fade.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. It was that era. So yeah, man. I always been a fan, bro. Always been a fan, bro.
Yeah,
Always, man. That's 96. I remember that, yo.
Yes,
Hell
sir.
Yeah, I remember that. That's
Yes, sir.
96 right there.
All
Damn,
right.
That's some good years, man. It's always great to see y'all.
okay,
though,
man. Appreciate you, man. Enjoy your day, man. Appreciate you stopping
Appreciate
by.
you,
You
Ticket.
too, man.
All right.
This has been a Bucks Plus audio production.